All right, so you've been seeing these things in this program that I'm creating, these parentheses right here, right? There's parentheses, there's parentheses, there's parentheses, but they're always empty. Every single one of these has empty parentheses, empty parentheses, empty parentheses. But what's interesting is if you see a function call like print, this parenthesis is no longer empty, right? I'm passing something into that function via these parentheses, okay? So what this is called a argument, okay? So when I'm passing something into a function, it's called an argument. When I'm defining something in the function header, it's called a parameter. Okay, so I have this argument and I want to pass an argument into a function. Okay, so we're going to talk about that here for a little bit. So passing arguments to functions is essentially passing some arbitrary or user-defined data into a function for processing. Okay, so again, an argument is a piece of data that's sent into a function, and it can use that argument in calculations. It's essentially like establishing a variable name. Okay, and I'll go ahead and show you what that is, show you some of the coding on that. So again, when calling the function, the argument is placed in those parentheses. Now, it's important to understand how these arguments are passed, because I have a lot of students that kind of get a little confused. So here's my def main, I set value to 5, and I have this function called show double, and I'm going to pass value into the show double function. Okay, so I have this one called number, and so I can reference that, right? But you'll notice that value and number are not the same name. Now, the reason why is we pass by value. We do not pass by variable, okay? And we're going to actually see that here later. So what ends up happening is I say I'm going to call show double with value. So when it actually makes the jump, it's going to say value equals 5, so it's going to convert value into 5. So show double 5. And then it's going to store 5 into number, so now number is 5, and so now I can use number as my variable. Okay, so result equals 5 times 2. When I print that result, it's going to print 10. Okay, so that's sort of the way that it works. So as I mentioned previously, a parameter variable is a variable that is assigned the value of an argument when the function is called. The parameter and the argument reference the same value. Okay, we're passing by value. And it's important to remember, like I have a lot of students get confused about this. So let's actually, instead of defining these, let's do A, B, and C here. Okay? And get rid of, actually we're just going to do A and B. Okay, so we're going to call this A, and we're going to call this B. Okay, and then we're going to print var C. All right, so now what we have done is we've created a function header here. So we use the def keyword. We called it add3. And now we're taking in 2 numbers. Okay, that's so in the function header, this is the parameters. Parameters. Function head has the parameters. Now when I call it, I need to call it with numbers, so I can call it with 2 and 3, for instance. Okay, so here I have 2 and 3 going into add3. But what's cool, these right here are called arguments. So this is arguments. Whenever you're making the call, it's a parameter in the function header. Argument when you're making the call, parameter when you're defining the function header. I want you to get that through your head. Okay, but the cool thing about that is now I can call it with all kinds of different values, right? So I can call it with 2 and 4, and I can call it with 6 and 9, and I can call it, I can call it with -9 and 2. Okay, so I can pass in all these different values, and I can actually do something with those values. Okay, and you're going to actually see the result of that whenever I print it. Okay, so that's exactly what that is. These are, again, arguments, and these are parameters. Okay, so again, a parameter variable is a variable that's assigned that value. Now, what's cool is I can just reference these straight. I don't have to declare them. I don't have to set them. I don't have to do anything. If it is in the parameter, it is available to me inside the body. Okay, so if it's here, I can just reference it. No big deal. This is like assigning a new variable and giving it a number is exactly what that does. Okay, so when it goes to add 3, it says, okay, A equals 2, B equals 3, and now I can access those. Next time it says, okay, A equals 2, B equals 4, so I can access those. Okay, so don't get confused about that. So again, the general format, obviously, like you've already seen, def function, then you put your parameter inside. And again, the scope of parameter is only inside the function that it's used. I cannot access these in some other function. They're only available inside of that particular function. All right, so again, here's how that works. You've kind of seen how that works. I explained that a little bit to you. They both equal 5. So value means 5. It equals 5. 5 is assigned a number. 5 is now in number. Dereferencing number is 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. Result equals 10. We print out that 10. Okay, so we pass by value. We don't pass by variable. We pass by value. Okay. Now the cool thing is, and you've already seen this, and what I've done is you can pass multiple arguments, or you can pass multiple arguments via multiple parameters, right? Because these are our parameter variables, and these are the arguments that are going to get set into these parameter variables. Okay, and you can pass multiples. I mean, you can pass as many as you possibly could ever want. Okay, so the parameter list replaces the single parameter, and they're separated by a comma. So I want you to pay close attention. A, comma, space, B. Okay, very, very simple. A, comma, space, B. Now, if I wanted to have, D, E, F, I could also do that. But on the other side, I have to make sure and add those arguments. Otherwise, it's going to get mad at me. So we're going to get an error, and it says missing 3 required positional arguments. Okay, so I got to make sure that those function calls equal the function headers, okay, or function signatures. So there we go. It's working again. All right, so again, here's where the passing multiple arguments, so the sum of 12 and 45, so it's going to take 12, it's going to store it in num1, 45, num2, so it's going to dereference num1, which is 12, num2 is 45, it's going to say 12 plus 45, and then it's going to go ahead and print that result. Now again, I could also store 12 and 45 into 2 different variables, and then I can just move those across as well. So again, whenever we want to make changes to a parameter value within the function, it actually doesn't affect the argument itself. So this is why this is important, and this is why it can get really, really confusing for some students. So coming back over here, when I make a change to A here, it actually doesn't change anything here. Okay, so let's say I have these variables. We're going to call this A equals 5 and B equals 6. And let's say I'm going to call this with A and B. All right, so now I have 5 in A and 6 in B, and then I have 5 in this A and 5 in this B. These two things are different. This is a different variable than this variable. These are not the same thing, because I could actually make this C and D if I wanted to. It doesn't really matter, okay? But what's ending up happening here is I put 5 in A, so A says, hey, I'm 5, and this A says, okay, I'm a 5 as well, and so now it says 5 here. Now the reason why this is important is I could say A plus equals 5, and then I'll change that output, but that's not going to change this A. Okay, so A will still be 5 after I make this function call. Okay, so print A. This will be 5, even though this one is 5 plus 5, so this is now 10. Okay, so I've modified this A, but this A and this A are not the same variable. Okay, so here's my 5, okay, but here's my math that I actually do. Okay, that's why we're passing by value, not by variable. So it's 100% unidirectional communication. That means that you put data into this thing, and this thing doesn't change the data that you pass in. It may pass some data out, but it doesn't change the data that you pass into it. A and B are still 5 and 6. It doesn't modify that at all. It's all 100% one direction. It goes this direction only. It doesn't come back. Okay? So it is a unidirectional communication between one function and the other. Okay? So make sure that you remember it is pass by value. That will definitely be on a quiz. It will definitely be on a test. Pass by value, not by variable. Okay? So again, it's just simply, you're pushing it in, and then this is getting assigned it. So I set arg to 0 here. It doesn't really change it back here. Okay? Value is 99. Print the value, it's 99. Change me value, so you're going to give 99 into arg. You can change arg to 0, and now you can say, hey, arg is 0, then it comes back. Value is still 99 at this point. Okay? So don't be tricked by that. And again, it's the same thing. Variable pass doesn't really actually change. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a short break, come back on the other side. Again, there's kind of a long chapter, so just bear with me, get a drink of water, sit back, relax, and make sure you're trying to follow along with me on PyCharm. We'll see you on the other side.